Welcome, coin collectors. Today, we're taking a closer look at the Kennedy half dollar, a fascinating piece of American numismatic history. We'll explore its history, unique design, rare varieties, high-grade examples, mint errors, and real-world value. Most Kennedy halves are common, but exceptional condition and authenticated varieties can make some examples surprisingly valuable. The 1973 Kennedy half dollar is an interesting and historically important issue in the modern United States half dollar series, but it is important to clarify one point at the beginning. 1973 is not a bicentennial Kennedy half dollar. The U.S. bicentennial coinage was issued for 1975 to 1976, while the 1973 Kennedy half dollar is a regular issue. Nevertheless, certain 1973 examples, especially exceptional high-grade coins, dramatic mint errors, and recognized die varieties, can be considerably more valuable than their 50-cent face value. The standard 1973 Philadelphia issue had a mintage of about 64.96 million, while the 1973 D Denver issue had 83,171,400 pieces. PCGS records an auction record of $6,600 for a 1973 Philadelphia Kennedy half-dollar graded NGC MS-66, demonstrating how dramatically condition and rarity can affect the value of an otherwise common date. The historical significance of the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar comes from the continuing popularity of the Kennedy design introduced in 1964, shortly after President John F. Kennedy's assassination in November 1963. The obverse portrait was created by chief engraver Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse was designed by Frank Gasparo. By 1973, the coin had already transitioned away from the original 90% silver composition used in 1964, and the regular circulation issues were being struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition. The 1973 coins therefore belong to an important period in American coinage when the mint was adapting to changing metal costs and reduced demand for circulating silver. For collectors, the date provides a fascinating snapshot of early 1970s U.S. coin production and the evolution of the Kennedy half-dollar series. The physical design of the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar is immediately recognizable. The obverse features Kennedy's facing portrait surrounded by Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date 1973. Depending on the mint, a small mint mark identifies Denver or San Francisco, while Philadelphia issues from this period generally carry no mint mark. The reverse features a presidential seal, including an eagle holding an olive branch and arrows, surrounded by stars and the inscriptions United States of America and half dollar, with E pluribus unum appearing across the design. The coin measures approximately 30.61 millimeters, weighs 11.30 grams, has a reeded edge with 150 reeds, and regular 1973. D examples were struck in 75% copper and 25% nickel over a pure copper center. Rarity is where the story becomes particularly interesting. A normal 1973 Kennedy half dollar is not an ultra-rare coin, and collectors should be cautious about claims that every 1973 half dollar is worth thousands of dollars. The large mintage means circulated examples generally trade close to face value, while ordinary uncirculated pieces usually carry only modest premiums. The real scarcity appears when you look at condition. A coin with virtually no contact marks, strong luster, excellent strike quality, and attractive surfaces can become dramatically more desirable in certified grades near the top of the grading scale. For example, PCGS lists a 1973 DMS-67 example that sold for $192 in 2023, with only 4 examples reported higher in the cited population data at that time. The 1973 D issue is particularly interesting because it has a documented double die obverse DDO FS 101 variety. This is exactly the kind of variety collectors should investigate when examining a 1973 D Kennedy half dollar. However, not every coin showing unusual lettering or apparent doubling is automatically valuable. Machine doubling, die deterioration, scratches, and post-mint damage can easily be mistaken for a genuine double die. PCGS has certified examples of the 1973 D DDO FS 101 variety. although historical auction results show that circulated examples of this variety have not necessarily commanded enormous premiums. One PCGS certified AU58 example sold for $35 in 2014, illustrating why authentication and exact variety attribution are essential before assigning a large value to a supposedly rare coin. When it comes to market value, the ordinary 1973 Kennedy half-dollar is generally much less valuable than sensational internet headlines sometimes suggest. Circulated Philadelphia and Denver examples can be worth around face value, while attractive uncirculated coins may bring a small premium. Certified high-grade specimens are a different story. A PCGS listed in 1973, DMS66 example sold for $25, while another MS67 example brought $192 in a Stack's Bowers auction. Most remarkably, the PCGS auction database records a $6,600 auction record for a 1973 Philadelphia Kennedy half-dollar graded NGC MS66. That extraordinary result should not be interpreted as the normal value of an MS66 coin. Auction prices can be influenced by exceptional rarity, registry competition, pedigree I appeal, or other circumstances. For collectors searching for a potentially valuable 1973 Kennedy half-dollar, the first step is to identify the mint mark and carefully inspect the entire coin under good lighting. On Denver examples, examine the lettering and date for the documented DDO variety, but compare suspected doubling with authoritative variety references rather than relying on photographs or online claims alone. Next, look for dramatic mint errors, such as major off-center strikes, clip planchets, broad strikes, missing design elements, or other unquestionably mint-made abnormalities. A spectacular genuine error can be much more desirable than a minor die characteristic. At the same time, avoid cleaning the coin, polishing it, applying chemicals, or attempting to improve its appearance, because such treatments can severely reduce collector value. Professional certification becomes particularly important when a 1973 Kennedy half-dollar appears to be unusually valuable. Services such as PCGS and NGC can authenticate the coin, assign a numerical grade, and attribute recognized varieties or errors when applicable. Certification is generally most useful when the potential value is high enough to justify grading, and when the coin has a realistic chance of receiving a strong grade. For ordinary circulated 1973 halves worth approximately face value, professional grading is usually economically impractical. For a spectacular error, exceptionally high-grade specimen, or document variety, however, certification can provide valuable protection for both buyers and sellers.